Hello, everyone. This is the first episode of Film Theory. Technically, I think it's episode 0. Join us where we journey the cinematic world, covering from classic movies to hidden gems, animated to whatever. We do it all. I'm your host, ET, and this is my co-host, the slightly spiritual, the slightly Buddhist, the slightly cholo, Pablo.
Hey man, how you doing?
How are you today? How are you doing today, Pablo?
Doing good, man. I'm, trying to, really not think about what I'm gonna say, and just say what I'm gonna say. So, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited for this journey. Excited to talk about movies. Excited to figure this whole podcast thing out. So we're, so everybody knows the first 15 podcasts are going to suck. The rest are going to be amazing. I promise you that. Give us a 15 podcast episode guarantee, and we will give you a great show after that. But the first 15 are going to suck. Because we're figuring out.
If we at least make it to 15.
Okay, I got high standards for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is our first one. This is episode 0. We've been me and Pablo have always been kind of just talking about movies all the time and like just talking about ideas and theories, and we're like, hey, why not just put it out there, for people to listen to? So we were all hell over thinking. It was like, fuck it, let's just do it and
let's just do it
and gloriously fuck up, but at least have a great time.
Yeah, man. That's all it's about. So I'm really excited to talk about some like what film means to me, man. And I was watching, funny I mentioned that I was watching Chris Stuckman's new video. Shout out to Chris Stuckman. He's awesome. He put out a video about what film means to him, and he talked about how he was a Jehovah's Witness, and
the interview recently, right?
Yeah, man. He went through it all, man, and it's kind of insane, man. Like, and I was thinking about what film meant to me, especially when that video came out. I just kept thinking, like, dude, like, film to me means like a good escape from all the craziness going on. Because we gotta admit, like, things are crazy, and the only thing keeping me afloat is just like a world that you can, venture off of every 15 minutes, and whenever you want, and just explore ideas, storytelling, and all the like. So, yeah, man, that video was powerful. Have you seen it?
I started it, and it sounded interesting. I'm definitely gonna finish it. Mm-hmm. Chris Tuckman is definitely one of when you think about YouTube reviewers, he's definitely like on the Mount Rushmore of like movie critics, Him,
oh, hell yeah.
Him there with like Jeremy Jahns, for example, definitely.
Yeah, Christian Harloff, the whole SEN crew, they're amazing. They do some good work, and they mess around and just talk, like it's hard to get that kind of connection, especially during COVID. So it's good to have just those people that you could just laugh, and talk about movies, talk about things that are awesome about movies. So,
and hopefully this oozes out to our like audience as well. And this is the topic we're basically going to cover is Pablo suggested that what he said. What do film means to us exactly? What does why is it even worth talking about to begin with? And I think that was a great way to start the podcast. Before we even talk about the movies we enjoy, we should at least talk about why they even matter to begin with. Why does society even need films at all? Is that even a question to begin with? And yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off, but go for
good,
it.
Man. I talked for a good minute there.
But let's just start it off and say why do movies matter, Pablo?
Oh man. You're going to hit me with the philosophy in the first 15 minutes here, ET? All right, man, you can get into the core. That's, movies don't matter. They in the big retrospective, they kind of don't, but because they don't advance a lot of like technological things. Like I feel like that's a lot of have to do with like theory and research. But what we do is that there are amazing ways of seeing yourself in different lives. You know, you kind of put yourself through the character and experience their world. So it's pretty neat to be able to do that, and um, at the same time feel like a sense of like cathartic release. You know, so I think that's why they matter mostly. I think that's why I think they matter. Um, it's it's a great way to just spend some time. Like I know a lot of people think it's a waste of time to sit around and do nothing, but I mean, your mind is doing stuff. If you're actively. I remember I used to passively watch movies and be like, "Oh, that movie's good." I remember watching that movie. Oh, that movie's good. And then
But never think
now I
about
was
it
like,
afterwards, right?
"No, dude." And now I just remember kind of liking the movie. And for example, um, Hot Topic. I really enjoy Speed Racer, the movie by the Wachowski sisters. And they're it was just awesome to me, dude. When I was like in high school, I rewatched it countless times. Coming out of high school, I was still rewatching it, and I recently learned that a lot of people did not like that movie, and it was because of the CG, right? It was
CG,
real.
yeah.
It is kind of cheesy, but I think I liked it because I genuinely used to watch Speed Racer when there were cartoons,
Right.
and it was always kind of like flashy, like really fast, like ooh ha, oh my god, I gotta go over here, ooh ha, ooh, you know,
Tracy, I
like
must win. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really dumb dialogue. It's very simple, but it's like really fast, and I think the CG was perfect because the scenes themselves are seamless. Like it's really good the way the movie goes through it, and the edits and stuff, and how they sometimes transition using the cars, you know. Um, and that's awesome, dude. Like that's great stuff.
So
But
basically, like if you can get past the CG, it's a really good film. It's a really good like.
and it's a cute film, dude. Like it's a story wise and acting wise is really good. Like all the cast is all great. No one, they're over the top, but because the world demands it. Like, come on, look at the world that they're
It
living in.
complements the world, right?
Yeah. So like, I personally love it. And then I never said this out loud, but I remember watching it and then allowing that negative opinion, to guide my thought of the movie, because I ended up not liking it once that I watched it, but then I rewatched it again, saying, "Fuck that, dude! Like I like it." So I rewatched it again, and it just the last part where he like jumps and like the flag circulates his car, and then he lands like on the tip of the car. Man, dude. So anyway, yeah, that film is awesome.
We definitely got to do an episode on that. I'm down to rewatch it again.
Man, yes. Honestly, you won't regret it. It'll be fun.
Definitely.
So what now throwing it back at you, ET. So what kind of stories do you look for when you're like finding a film? You know, like what does that movie have to have for you to be like, damn, I want to watch this one?
It's not necessarily that I look for a specific one. I just like good stories. I like good stories that have good characters in them, good story arcs, good character development, good a good theme to it, you know? Like for example, like I recently rewatched like Braveheart, and I remember when I was a kid, I like you, I watched it and I passively watched it. Oh, it's Mel Gibson on TV, cool. But as I grew up, I started, looking at film a little bit differently. I started, paying attention to the frames, the usage of different colors, symbolism.
How old were you?
When I saw that movie, I must have been like in my 10, 11, 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was really young, but I remember like certain fragments of like my memory where I always saw this movie, and I kind of remember it, and those are like my first first glimpses when I think of like my childhood. It's always like, oh, what movie was I watching? I can always like recount like, oh yeah, the first time I watched Star Wars when my mom's friend gave her like a box of VHSs, and there was Star Wars, the classic original trilogy 1, 2, and 3.
Hey man, if he still has those are worth a lot of money.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Oh.
Man. But I remember every time, like out of like middle school, I come home and I'll just rewatch them, and I'll rewatch them like over and over. And my cousin's like, "Damn, like Ernie, I don't know how you watch these 3-hour long movies." I'm like, how can you not like this story? How can you not like this sequence? How can you not like this? This performance? And
more important question: how can you not be obsessed with this stuff? It's so good. It's good stuff, man.
It's so good, but I guess as I grew older, it's just. I mean, you could be really passionate about one thing, but not someone's gonna see it the same way you are, and that's okay, and that's definitely fine. That's the world of subjectivity,
That's just how things are, man. People are different.
But I think that's good that we don't like the same things, and we try to explain to each other why, and hopefully we can connect those ideas, and maybe we can sympathize of why we like things.
Yeah, man. I think exactly that. That's exactly it. We could just always have a difference of opinion. That's fine.
But going back, like I rewatched like Braveheart, and dude, like I don't know if you rewatched it recently, but it's such a good damn dude. That's Mel Gibson's first directed movie, and god damn, he fucking hit it out the park.
All right. Full disclosure, and I'm sorry to the audience too. I'm gonna apologize to you guys too. I have not seen Braveheart.
It's totally fine. There's so many
I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you, but I just wanted you to finish your piece. I didn't want to be rude. No. But yeah, man, I haven't seen it, but I always heard it's good. I think I always know that there's references to it, like so many other shows that reference Braveheart.
Family Guy.
They've done, yeah, especially Family Guy, and they always reference the part where he gives a speech, right? That's the famous. Scene.
Yeah, freedom. Yeah.
What time period is it set on?
It's basically like Celtic warriors, or like Scotland back in like the 1700s, or really old, medieval times. And it's man, like everything, the performance is there, like the direction is there, but just the story itself, you have a guy who he lost his father at a young age, and then he travels with his uncle, and he teaches him how to become essentially a man. And when he comes back home, just he wants a family. But during those times, the king of England, was basically had Scotland under his rule. And that created a lot of drama, or a lot of, conflict between the Scotlands, where they're like, hey, we don't like being under these guys. Like, we want to be free. Like the king just, reinstated Prima Nocta, or I'm not sure exactly.
Prima Nocta.
Prima Nocta. And
where he gets to have deflower every bride.
Exactly. And
every new bride.
Right, and that's important to the story because he just falls in love, and he doesn't want to do that. And I don't want to tell any. If you haven't watched it, I'm not gonna say anything more. But that's like the synopsis of it.
Okay. And, wow, dude, you hooked me there. That's
dude. Honestly, I think you're gonna really like it. I honestly think you're really gonna like.
Honestly, and I'm gonna this another. I don't think this is a hot take. I don't think a lot of people feel this way. I don't really like Mel Gibson. Like, he's been kind of like fucked up and kind of racist, like somewhat, but not too much. Like, Mel Gibson is that kind of white person where you're like, oh, like, hey, you're tiptoeing the line, buddy. You're tiptoeing the line.
I don't know if I want to invite you to the party.
Like, dude, okay, like, chill.
So he's that kind of I definitely understand. He has a reputation, like,
yeah.
And
like the movie, I went to go see the movie Apocalypto. I was big into protests and organizing, so I was part of like community groups that would get together in Oakland. Shout out to Wash Deck, and shout out to Homies, and El Centro Legal for la Raza, and the Art Institute. Fuck, dude, I'm blanking out here. But anyway, shit. weed is doing me wrong for the first time on the podcast. I forgot what I was saying. Help me out here, ET.
It's okay.
Help me out.
No, you were saying basically like about like how you don't. You saw Apocalypto, right?
Mel Gibson. Yeah, I saw Apocalypto. Thank you for that save, ET. I saw Apocalypto with Watch It Group, and we all saw it because we heard that this director named Mel Gibson, who was a white guy, was going to write and direct a story about indigenous people, specifically the Aztecs, and when Cortez came. So we knew that like we were going to see it to talk shit about it because like Hollywood always romanticizes like things like that, because it did end kind of weird. Like the ships came, and then the Indian was kind of, or not the Indian, the Aztec, the main character was looking out, and he saw the ships coming. But I do remember it was kind of like a little dark, but because it wasn't like completely hopeful. Like the director wasn't. I don't think Mel Gibson made it look completely like, oh, like the Spaniards are here, like the boats are here, we're saved. There's more like, and here come the boats, So I did kind of like the Indian, no lie, and I liked the movie overall. It was like Apocalypto is a really good movie. I remember the human sacrifice sequence,
Right.
Sorry, spoilers.
Very brutal and gory.
Yeah. Sure. Spoilers, guys. I'm sorry if I ruined Apocalypto for you, but it's kind of old, so you should watch it by now. So anyway, yeah, like I remember that, and so that's how I started out with a negative correlation to Mel Gibson. So, as a director, I never saw any of his other movies, but I know that he is a good director. He did Signs. Oh no, he was in Signs. Director of Signs is
that's M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, that weed is fucking me up. Number 2 on times on the podcast. No yeah, and Shyamalan, he directed him, and that movie was amazing. So I know he's a good actor and he's a good director. I just, and he's like Christian. Oh, he made Passion of the Christ. I went to go see that with my whole family.
Yeah, that'd be the same.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we're going. Like my dad was like, a Christ movie? I'm there, right? That was like his only source of fandom is like Jesus Christ. So
how did your parents like receive that film? Like,
they thought it was good. They understood that it was brutal. That it was, man. It was brutal. And the end, dude. The end, like where he calls out like Father, why have you forsaken me? And then there's like when he dies, a teardrop falls from the heavens and it hits the ground, and then thunder like starts hitting and like earthquakes and shit. It was good, dude. And when he resurrected, and he walked out of the stone with the holes like in his hands, it was really good. It was really good. And for someone who knows the story inside and out, because my parents, to the audience, like my parents were very Catholic, so we were raised Catholic, and because of that, I had to that movie had a special meaning for me, So my dad loved it. I loved it, so I know he's a good director. Sorry, again, I'm rambling, but I hope that this is all good entertainment for the folks listening at home.
No worries. I think that even begs another question that I think we probably would take another episode to cover, but should we as people distinguish, the artist from the actual art? And that's, I think that's I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, Mel Gibson has quite the reputation, but despite all that, like, I gotta see his movies for I gotta be objective as I can about when it comes to reviewing his movies, and I have to be honest about that. And goddamn, they're really good. They're really fucking good movies. I mean, fucking Braveheart, like you said, Passion of the Christ. When I watched it, when I obviously grown up with a really religious family, they're like, oh, you gotta watch it. See this is what Jesus did for you, and all this. And at the time, you know, when I was like heavily religious, it did mean a lot to me at the time because, you know, you grew up saying, oh, you better, you know, worship, or, you know, you're going to, hey, this or this is something bad is going to happen to you, all that stuff. But I mean, that, and then what he did, like Hacksaw Ridge, another great war movie.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I watched it for the first time with you, man. Hacksaw Ridge.
That's right. We watched it. And
another fucking incredible movie. One of my favorite genres is war movies, and dude, that's honestly at the top. That's definitely at the top of war movies of all time, and that it's incredible, dude. It's so there's some moments that if you're queasy, my friend, this is not the movie for you. Okay, move on. Go watch another movie. It's brutal. This movie has it all.
I would say the same thing about about Braveheart.
oh, now I want to watch it even more.
Yeah. So, but kind of to like backtrack a little bit, you gave me a definition of what like our film's important or not, and I think and I wanted to like answer you back on that. Where I don't think that movies necessarily matter or not. But I do think stories do matter for a society or civilizations.
Okay.
I remember when I was taking a class in Native American philosophy, and like the one thing that really stood out to me was that storytelling was a way of life for the native for tribes. You know, these stories were essentially their livelihoods. They were precious. You know, stories are taught for like are taught, you know, generation to generation, and for these stories contain, you know, lessons of life and how you should conduct yourself. And essentially it was the structure of, you know, certain, you know, of tribes. And I can't help but think that maybe that's the case for just society in general, that these stories are really, you know, like what we learn from them, what we take from them, what we feel from them are essentially important, and they stick around for quite a long time. I know that there's plenty of scenes where like you can, if I name a certain movie from one of your favorite movies, you're gonna remember a specific scene where you just like you just know it. It's ingrained in your memory, and you reacted a certain way to that when you first watched it. And I mean, I don't know if you have any moments like that. I'm sure you do.
Moments where the scene just like it is ingrained in my memory, basically.
Yeah, where you learn something from a movie where you're like, wow, like I never realized something like this until after I saw. My whole outlook on life kind of changed slightly just because I watched this movie or just because I saw this film.
Yeah, there was a film called on Netflix. It was called the half of it, and it has to do. Have you seen it?
I don't think so. I believe you talked to me about that one. It's like a comedy, or
yeah, it's like a comedy and like a romantic comedy. So it's an Asian girl who has I think she's Chinese and has a Chinese father. They live like in a small town, American town, you know, like in the middle of nowhere in Southwest or something. And or Midwest, sorry, is what I meant to say. And she ends up finding out, and she also doesn't have a mom. I think her mom died somehow. I forget how. And she ends up figuring out that she is a lesbian, and she falls for like another girl who's very pretty. And then there's like this typical like dumb boy template, who's a really nice guy, but is too dumb to get with the pretty girl. And he's in the movie too, and he convinces her to the Chinese girl. Sorry, that's probably terrible to call her that. She asked for her help to make the pretty girl fall in love. So it's like this love triangle. And I learned like of the struggle, you know, of like the way that they portray love from two genders that are like that love each other it just taught me to really empathize, like really strongly. The way that they portrayed it was really powerful, and it was a really nice story, that I took away, that I was like, that's really nice to just explore that side of love, and having it be like, is kind of like a new romantic comedy versus the old romantic comedy, the old typical one, and how those two mix together, and a lot of fun stuff happens.
Okay, definitely, I gotta check it out. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, man, it's good. Like, it's funny too. Like, it's really well made, and it's actually based on the director's real life. Like, she experienced this, So, and the director is, I believe, Chinese as well. Like, and she grew up this way, and so this was kind of like her way of telling her story. So, it was powerful. It was really good.
Definitely. One that when we talked about the topic today, I was like, I gotta think about stuff, and one that came to mind, I remember a scene in a movie, I'm sure you've watched it, was The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, right? I remember.
Oh no, The Last Samurai. I don't think I've seen that. Is that with Keanu Reeves? No, that's
47
that's
Ronin, right? Yeah,
that's 47 Ronin. No, then I don't think I've seen it. Who's in The Last Samurai?
Tom Cruise.
No, I don't. I think I've only seen a couple movies with Tom Cruise. And that's just because I don't really like Tom Cruise like that too much either. But Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, based off the There's Only Kill, amazing, right? Man.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they had switched the name to it. Like, I barely found out like last year. I didn't know. Like,
it was based off an anime or a manga.
No, yeah. Or there was what was the problem with the Edge of Tomorrow name? Like, they had to change it, and I didn't know that its official name was Edge of Tomorrow, and in parentheses, Live, Die, Repeat. And then when it came out, they just called it, I think they renamed it Live, Die, Repeat, because I don't know, Edge of Tomorrow was connected to something else. I don't know, like another show or another movie. Do you know about that?
No, I always thought it was Edge of Tomorrow. I know that the manga was called All You Need Is Kill. But I don't recall.
Let me see. I'm doing a quick Google search. Just bear with me. Oh, nice dead air. Did you get around to smoking or drinking something?
I did.
Not just me, right?
No. I have my 2 shot of Woodford Reserve here. Not sponsored, by the way. Maybe you should. But that and
maybe you should. You're ambitious.
But I was gonna say, but what I was gonna talk about was like, there's this scene in The Last Samurai where all these samurai, they're having their final battle. Spoiler alert, but it's kind of been like more than 15 years or so. I think you're safe to talk about it. But all these samurai are having their final battle, and the whole movie was like about how the old way versus the new way of life. Samurais got the swords going against machine guns. And they bring out like this machine gun that just goes just mowing people down. It was just, there was such a distinction between who was winning and who wasn't. And one of the guys who was like telling one of the operators of like the machine guns, the guy who gives the orders to keep shooting, he was there was such an onslaught that he was breaking down as as a person, that he started tearing up, and he had mercy where he's like, stop. It's like, and the other guy's like, no, keep shooting. He's like, no, just stop. Like, they're done. Like, we've won already. And
this was in The Last Samurai,
right? And I remember when I was a kid, like, I teared because it gave me a sense of humanity. Like, it tapped into like this human side of me where I'm like, yeah, like, you're basically decimating a whole entire race of people, and you're just like nothing. And there's one guy even on the enemy team even had compassion where he even like felt bad for them. I don't know. I always remember that scene. I was just like, when I was in theater, I was like, wow, that's such a powerful like scene for me.
Oh man.
I haven't rewatched it since, but I remember that's what I recall from one of my memories when I was in theaters. Like, wow, like, damn, like that's just that's powerful. You know, it just resonated with me on such a human spiritual level.
Yeah, man. I mean, that kind of carnage is like hard to take in sometimes, and then you actually think about what's going on. Like it really can mess with you. So I can really understand how that scene alone could evoke that kind of emotion.
And it kind of like I wanted to piggyback off, you know, whether like where movies are necessary or what do we think about movies, and to if I can put it just in simple terms, I think, you know, a movie is an experience, and or at least that's what I want to get out of a movie, you know,
Yeah,
an experience.
that's a good description, I think.
Like, you know, like a Stanley Kubrick going through the to the space gate, you know, kind of experience, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree, and I would say that that experience, you know, it can be whatever you want it to be, and but for the most part, when it comes to movies, like, it really does depend, like, on whether the movie is good or not. But sometimes, actually, no. Sometimes really bad movies speak to you, so it really does depend. Like, even a movie that's like kind of really bad, like, for example, Kung Pao, the movie Kung Pao, Fist of Fury.
Right.
Which I don't think is ever going to come out on Blu-ray. I would love to have it as a part of my collection, but it does. I don't think it's ever going to come out on Blu-ray. For obvious reasons. It was a really, really stupid movie. Like it was. I
remember. Yeah.
I don't know now that I think this way. I kind of want to look at the stats to see if this guy like financed it himself, because, dude, like the edit. It was just ridiculous, but it was really funny.
It was intentionally bad, though. Right?
Yeah, intentionally bad. No, yeah, it was one of those intentionally bad movies. Like, and me and my entire family watched it together, and we all laughed, and we all thought it was so dumb. But it was one of those movies that was part of family night. Growing up, you know, not too often, but we rented it, and when we had it, we watched it over and over. When Blockbuster, shout out to Blockbuster, when Blockbuster was a thing. I loved going into Blockbusters. I have no idea what it was about. I just loved looking at movie covers.
Getting video games from there. That was always a good experience. Yeah,
man, Blockbuster is. Oh, I wish I still had my Blockbuster membership, but I think I like dumbingly threw that away. There's so many things that I wish I would have kept, dude. Like, God. But anyway, that could be a topic for another show. What kind of stuff did you throw away that you wish you would have kept? You know what I'm saying?
As our audience can see that we our conversations can just go from A to B and then to Z and then go back to, and then for some reason go to V and then to X and then go back to A.
Yeah. That's how it goes, man. Hey, you're either with it or you can get out. Like, but you can have fun. You can have fun with us.
Right, and I mean, like you said, like sometimes, yeah, good movies or bad movies. It's whether it's a good experience or a bad experience. It's at least an experience.
Yeah, man.
And it's an experience that you can share with people that you can actually relate. Like, oh, remember that one movie and we had a good time. And even though we probably could see the movie in a different perspective, you still share that moment, you know, you still share that specific time, you know, in life. And I think
I want to share this, like, movies for me, man. I don't know if anybody else out there does this, but hey, if you do, like, let us know that you do. I don't know, maybe we'll put our Instagram handles here or something, but whenever I think about a point in my life, there's always like a major movie that came out, you know. And so, like, throughout my life, I remember all the important parts of, like, because when I watched the Avengers, I had just broken up with this girl, like, and me and Carlos were there, so I was there to, like, feel good, and it was an amazing experience. Right, helped me get over it. When I watched Avengers Endgame at my during my honeymoon in near Cancun, Isla del Carmen. So anyway, like, you know, like, And The Dark Knight, I remember I stayed until like midnight to watch it. It was I remember my life in a sequence of release movie dates. Does anybody else do that, or is that just me?
Well, let's see. Batman Begins. I think I was like what, in middle school or barely high school. But yeah, I could remember like at least the mindset I was in for sure. You know, like
Okay.
definitely, and and yeah, and it's an experience.
Fun. The more you know fact about me.
And like I said, like it's an experience that like we can share and unify, and I think that's what film can be. It also can be like informative, or like it's a way to like share ideas. I believe share cultures and potentially bridge them. You know, like I think when during like our social political status, you know, in America, you know, with a lot of race, social, you know, issues that were are being brought up in the light, there was a lot of surge of black exploitation films, or like, you know, social justice films that kind of talked about those topics, you know, or at least you know, social, or at least whatever social issue that is relevant at the time. And I think that's the power of film. You know, it makes people see that perspective. It makes people get outside their comfort zone, and for the next 2 hours they're just watching and hopefully in means of, you know, understanding and empathizing with the other point of view. Like for example, you know, like Queen and Slim, dude. Queen and Slim that came out was it 2 years ago maybe? Really great film that like I think did a really great job with, you know, the social Black Lives Matter movement, police brutality. It just did an amazing job, and but it did such a great job where that was a thing, but at the same time the story and these characters were the centerpiece, you know. And I just think that's I guess I want to delve more about why films matter, or at least to me that's kind of why, you know, that you have a voice, you have a really big voice, you know, whoever makes these films.
That's true, man. And I think that's one of the I think that in of itself is what kind of led me to be more more aware of the director, you know, and like where the director's background, where they come from, and like just not where they come from, but like mostly just what their aim is, you know, and like their track record as movies, what kind of movies they made, what kind of movies they're into, like their directing style. Like I feel like as a director, you have final say on like what this movie kind of looks like, sounds like, and like the message that it's portraying. And that's one of like, it's precisely because of that, because they have such a big, powerful say, and their message can touch millions and literally change lives. And so if you change a lot of lives because they feel different, because your movie helped them realize something, it just empowers them, you know. It's an empowering feeling, like learning something because you related it to a movie. A movie is just storytelling. People are like, oh, you learned something from a movie? Yeah, man, I learned a lot of things from movies, from video games, from TV shows, because those characters, like someone wrote those characters, you know, someone in the real world wrote those characters, an actor portrayed that character, and even though it's edited together, and it's, when you edit it, you portray it in a light, you basically shine a light, and it's like, this is what we want you to see. The director, shoot, I lost my train of thought there, man, damn it. Anyway, the director has a lot of say, you know, and it's very powerful. So it kind of that's what kind of led me to do more research on what kind of directors I want to support and what kind of directors I want to look out for.
Well, is there a particular director that you are quite fond of?
Yeah, dude. Robert Rodriguez has been one of the ones that I've always kind of loved, and I didn't even know that I always watched his movies. Like I used to watch Spy Kids I
Okay.
watched El Mariachi. I watched Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And I enjoy all of his movies. And the recent Mandalorian episodes that he directed, um, or that the one with Boba Fett where he gets his armor back. That's honestly one of my favorite episodes.
Alita Battle Angel 2.
Yeah, man, Alita Battle Angel 2. Yeah, how can I forget? Yeah, exactly, dude. Like he's really good, and it makes me feel really good about myself and about my people and our place in the entertainment industry. With such a big voice, a director again has a big, powerful influence that they can have on society and people's hearts. I'm very interested in seeing what this Mexican director does. And he brought Boba Fett in the most badass way. He brought him back so good that Boba Fett is now one of my favorite characters. When I didn't give a shit about Boba Fett.
What? You never give a shit about Boba
I
Fett and
did,
his
like, I
3
used to
minutes of screen time?
Yeah, dude. Like, so I was like, he looks cool, but I don't know shit about him, and he dies in the dumbest way. It's just, But I always thought like Boba Fett looks awesome. Like if I knew something about him, but I knew he was a little kid or whatever. But anyway, so when he brought him back, that was awesome, man. And Robert Rodriguez had a big say in that.
Yo, definitely. Robert Rodriguez is a really good director, and he understands how to direct action. Like, fuck, dude.
The Machete franchise, man, is good fun, man. When you're Mexican or when you're anyone, like, and you watch the Machete franchise, like, it's just fun, dude, to watch what he does and just like take advantage.
Yeah, dude. Battle Angel, dude. Like, it was such a like. Honestly, dude, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's probably the best anime movie we've gotten, at least so far. At least set the bar, because it I feel like it got the aesthetic of what an anime movie should look like, but it also has like the action, like, dude, like, like, fuck, like, I don't know how many other movies can like pull that off, but like I don't know. I mean, the way he directed action there was just so clever, so creative. I mean, I remember that sequence when like Alita was basically she got cut in half, but she still fucking beat that dude with like her upper body torso. I was in theaters like, fuck, that was so fucking sick. Like it. I do hope that I like, for me, I love action, but I like quality action. I like when like action is okay. It's not a bunch of people. It's not like one person just beating up a bunch of people, but it's just the creative, how creative it is. Like John Wick, for example, how it took action to such a realistic take, but it also made it more. It made it very just entertaining. You just always want to watch what he's doing. You want to see the tactics he uses and whatnot. But
yeah, man.
But yeah,
like the world building was beautiful. I remember I watched it because I always remembered you said, Pablo, watch, man, it's good. Because the one thing that I always heard was that like it was obviously a setup, because you never see the main guy. Like there's obviously creating the universe, and so a lot of people were upset that they weren't getting the full story. Kind of like, who did that recently? I can't think, man. Stupid weed, man. It's making me act dumb. But it was just great. You're right. The action was fucking incredible, man. Like my most memorable one is when she actually like just the beginning fight at the alley. That was incredible, man. Like how she bounced off the walls with like, you believed the punches that she was giving. Like she's a tiny small girl, but she was kicking these like robots or whatever. She was kicking their ass and killed one of them, right? Like in the first fight, she killed that lady with the hand. Her hands were blades, or her arms were blades, or whatever. I think.
Right.
She killed her, dude, and what I specifically loved was that right after, I don't know why I was so obsessed with the movie. I was like, this is really good, dude. Like, this is really good. It ended well. Like, it made me excited. Like, the characters were interesting. The story was awesome. The world is beautiful. I fell in love with Alita, Battle Angel. I was like, this is incredible. And just like you said, talking about Robert Rodriguez, it definitely added the fact that it was a Mexican director that brought the story to life, and he was so good. The way he edited the action, it kind of reminds me of how I used to think of anime growing up as a Mexican, because I lived in Mexico, right, for like 3 years. Like first, second, and third grade, I lived in Mexico, and I did elementary school over there. And so I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, and like a lot of anime. Mexico loves anime, right?
Right.
And Latin America specifically loves anime. So I used to watch it, and then watching Alita Battle Angel and the fight scenes, it kind of like, it was like, wow, that's how I used to feel about like Dragon Ball Z when I was a little kid watching it in Mexico when I was first exposed to it. So he really brought that anime feel of like fighting to life, the craziness, the world is insane. And also I watched this was what I was getting at back a couple sentences or paragraphs ago, that I watched the actual animated version on YouTube, because it's free on YouTube. It's like an hour long. It's not that long. Or actually, I think there might be more, because I feel like I'm missing some parts. Like apparently, I don't know if the animated version she makes it all the way up to Elysium or whatever it's called. What is it called again? In Iliad?
I forgot. I never really remember like
the specifics.
But it was it was basically heaven. It was basically the paradise.
Yeah, like the paradise city where like all the rich people live, basically. Oh, and it wasn't, had a lot of social commentary on classism, right? So it was good. So anyway, what I was getting at, a long version, is that he pretty much brought it to life shot for shot. The way that the doctor, I love this movie so much, but I can't remember any of the characters' names.
Christoph Waltz character?
Yeah, Christoph Waltz. Yeah, man, love that guy. Shout out to Christoph Waltz. The way he picks up Alita's head is, and like the sequence where he finds her, besides like in the animated, he's a little bit more like, oh, I found you, ha 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 ha. He just kind of walks over to her, picks up her head, and it's almost like shot for shot where the head is in the frame, and like how he picks it up and how he looks at how he smiles, when he finds Alita's head. Like it was, and other sequences too, like how she picks up the blood from the dog and puts it on her like cheeks. That was also in the animated version. It was just awesome, dude, to see like that. I was like, dude, he basically did shot for shot. And then there are other story elements that were added too. But also, I love that the guy's name is Hugo. I thought Robert Rodriguez like added that or something. I'm like, oh, he's adding a Mexican name. No, the guy's name was Hugo. Like in the animated version, like Hugo, like Yugo or something like. It wasn't Ugo, but I think he changed it to Ugo, and in the movie, in the live action movie, and I thought that was awesome, So another layer of like our people on there, because truth be told, man, there's not a lot of Latino or Mexican actors in big movie franchises like the Avengers, that like there's not a lot of Latino love there. Even though a lot of Latinos love Marvel.
No, definitely, and I think, God, it's just every answer always sparks like a question, like.
Yeah, man, that's good having a podcast.
But like, should that matter? And I mean, for me, like, it does. I mean, like does. Like when I see people like Diego Luna in Star Wars, like I'm probably underrated, but I'm actually very excited for his Cassian Andor, show, because I'm a really big fan of Diego Luna. And he's a great actor, and
love him in Y Tu Mamá También. He's fucking incredible.
Oh man, such a good movie.
He's just good, man. He's a good actor.
Narcos. And I mean, it's just good. Like I'm seeing someone, I'm like, hey, like that could possibly be me, because I relate to that ethnic background. But I mean, yeah, it just.
I mean, don't feel bad, dude. Don't feel bad, because like, I mean, that's what Black Panther is for a lot of Black people. That's what it is. Like, it's powerful. It's a powerful symbol. It's a good role model. Like and it's not a bad thing that it matters.
I think representation does matter when there's a proportional balance between American films, and we all have a place. I mean, there's plenty of room for everyone, right?
yeah, man. There's absolutely no reason why we can't be up there. I'm excited that Marvel is adding I think America Chavez in Marvel. I'm excited about her. She's awesome. She is actually pretty cool. And she's like I don't really know a lot about her, but I've seen like an episode of like the cartoon on Disney Plus, an animated series of where she's in it, and she looks cool. She's awesome. And she's gonna come in is it Doctor Strange movie? I think she's in a Doctor Strange. Either that or like Spider-Man. I think it's a Marvel movie. I'm gonna have to look that up. But anyway, yeah, like it's so there. It is gonna. It looks like we are starting to, chip away and getting more of our people out there and like big franchises. And Cassian Andor, piggybacking off what you say, I'm also excited about that because yes, I'm not gonna be ashamed. He is Mexican. He's awesome, and I'm gonna back him up. He's a homie, so we support our own. And
I liked it honestly. I know that he didn't get much development, but I liked his very cold demeanor that he's willing to do whatever it fucking takes.
No one ever talks about how it was just bad because of him. No, man, they didn't put a lot of back. They put enough. I think they put enough, right? Like you like saw him like shoot someone in the back. That scene.
That was like, fucking cold. Like damn,
this is different.
Like
this
cold.
That's when you knew this is a different Star Wars movie.
Just bam, just shot him like that, and he just, that he's someone that's used to this. That he, even though he may have not wanted to, he still did it because he knows
he didn't hesitate.
He knows what's important.
Everything's gonna be cool. Look, when we get back, we're gonna get in a jacuzzi. We're gonna get 2 girls.
Nice drink,
everything's gonna be good, and then clink, 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 fucking shank that fool. Well, he didn't shank him, he shot him, but you know what I'm saying. He didn't care. He was cold, and I was like, damn, this guy. Don't mess with this guy. Okay, he will kill.
He's a killer, and that's all I need. That's like okay. I was like,
ooh,
he's so
yeah, dude. That's a good intro to Cassian Andor, and like the way he does portray a pain, right? It looks like he's like numb, like he wanted to do a lot of good, but like he just couldn't, or he did, but he had to do a lot of dirty stuff to do the good stuff, and it didn't really balance out, So it gave you this side to Star Wars. Through him and his good acting, that like it opened up Star Wars in a new real dimension, And so I'm excited for the series. If they keep that tone, that like spy thriller, like seriousness, and like kind of just exploring like his brokenness, Like that's honestly what I want to see, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I mean we're probably in the minority, but hey, you know what? They're gonna make it anyway. I'm gonna watch the first episode as soon as it's on streaming. And
yeah, man, it's gonna be one of those shows that people like. They're gonna cast it out like or whatever. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll watch it.
And if it's good,
watch it, like boom.
If it's good, we're definitely gonna talk about it. Like there's no doubt about it.
There's no way we're not gonna talk about it. Yeah, that's for damn sure.
But yeah, I mean, okay, so Robert Rodriguez is a great director. And yeah, I mean, along with like other fellow Mexican directors like Guillermo del Toro, Alfonso Cuarón, Roma.
Oh, Alfonso Cuarón, man. Hey, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite? A Guillermo del Toro movie?
Let's see. Honestly, oh my god! I mean,
or one that you really enjoy that you're like, oh, I know that he's a.
Well, like like a super entertaining one, dude. Pacific Rim, like, it's like.
Yep, that's why we homies.
But as like strictly entertainment, like I just like a monster mashup. That one's like a really great. But I mean, obviously, Pan's Labyrinth is like a really great movie. Hellboy.
Oh man. Yeah.
And the recently one was that Shape of Water, or I believe.
I think Shape of Water. That one's good too.
And but I mean, a lot of great directors, and I'm with you, man. I'm always following different directors. I always like a certain director's feel or aesthetic to it. Mm-hmm. The way he or she represents like a certain the certain visual presentation. It's just jaw dropping. Like mm-hmm. For one, I can name top of my head. It was probably Honestly, I think for me, Ridley Scott's just probably one director that like
Yes.
me trying to be an aspiring
Good
filmmaker.
choice.
I gotta learn from him because I feel like I have similar taste as him in a certain speaking. Like, just he's a very philosophical director, and that's something that I like. I like talking about those deep questions, uh, those very deep, like deep concepts. You know that just go beyond just like, oh, like how's your day going? Like, oh, you know, do you think, you know, if you were a cyborg, you know, do you, is are you know, machines, you know, are artificial intelligence worthy enough to be even called considered human? You know, that's questions that keep me going, that made me think about, you know, it makes me go outside myself and be like, wow, what if I was a artificial intelligence, or can you possibly have a relationship with one? And I think that's something that like I like from Ridley Scott. He poses those questions. He has a very visual, you know, very the way he uses colors, the lighting. That's something that like for me,
lots of gray.
Lots of smoke, fog.
Lots of smoke, yes.
Blade Runner, you know,
he likes shiny stuff too.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a reason why he's like that. He's like, oh, like he came off like he was a commercial director first, so yeah, he was like, oh, like, is my movie gonna look good at least? Is it gonna look good? And that
it's still good though. It's amazing,
and it's still good. To me, there's always like a spectrum of how good a movie is from a certain category. Like, hey, this movie maybe not have the greatest story, but from a cinematography aspect, this movie's amazing. Like, it's visually stunning and tells a story that way. It may be more quieter than some films you're used to, but the way it tells a story through the use of images is just so it's just so stimulating. I know, like, for example, like for me, like I love hand drawn anime. I think we were talking the other day about like another director, Makoto Shinkai, right? Where you know, your name, Garden of Words.
You said that name a lot cooler than I would say it.
Oh,
I would
I looked in the mirror and practiced like 100 times before today.
All right.
But yeah, and it's like, I remember you saw it last week, and you're like, dude, was that the Weathering with You, right?
Weathering with You, man. Man, that movie is gonna stay. I honestly woke up the next day thinking about that movie, and then I was like, what was that anime show that I was just watching it? And I was like, no, that was a movie. That was Motoko Shinkai, and it was fucking like, it was beautiful, man. Like, it was so good. Like, the romance was so cute and nice. It was a very heartwarming story. I thought it was gonna have like a dark end, but I think I'm starting to understand that his movies are more on the lighter side, right? Am I correct?
Yes, I believe his movies do have happy endings.
But he still doesn't shy away from exploring interesting concepts, right? Like Weathering with You was, I'm still kind of processing it, but what I got, because, you know, anime, I feel like it takes me a while to like, oh, this is why, like, and maybe some researchers just haven't done a lot of research on the movie. The story itself was really interesting. I loved, like, how this kid was just willing to give it all. He's like, hey, I'm gonna give up everything for you, and I don't care what happens, and everyone get out of my way. And they helped each other, you know, get better. Like, and the rules of the world are clear, you know, and the animation, dude, just like, besides that, like, I'm talking about all the small things that are like all add up together to make something cool. Like, the animation that brings it to life is honestly fucking jaw dropping. Me magical. And my younger brother,
it's magical.
Yeah,
right?
Dude, it's incredible. Like, you see anime and like things are usually they're stationary and one person is moving, or two people, right? But the background is stationary. This whole living thing is like on your screen, like the city looks alive, right, by the way that it's animated, and me, and shout out to Nene or Alex or whatever you want to be called. You know, I call him Nene. Shout out to my younger brother. We were watching it, and he loved it too. You know, like he was like, "This is fucking beautiful." Like he started watching it with me, and then he went over to the dining table where everyone was gambling. Nah, I'm just kidding. They were just playing some loteria, and I think it was just or something. They were playing the card game. I think they might even been playing 21. But they were just playing around, and he was just kind of like dealing, and then he would look he would look at the screen, you know, like, and then he would play, and then he would look at the screen. So I was like, yeah, like, and then he came over eventually. He's like, all right, I'm done with you guys, and he came and sat next to me, and we watched the rest of the movie. I mean, it was still playing, but we finished it, and it was great, man. Like, what I'm excited to, I think is a Silent Voice by him as well.
I don't know if he did that one, but I know that's another one that's that's worth to watch.
Yeah, I think another one that I've seen in like posters and stuff, but I've never known like where it was is it Perfect
Name?
Blue?
Oh, Perfect Blue. Yeah, it was like an older one, right? Like 90s, I think.
Yeah, it's honestly, I love 90s anime, especially when it's beautiful anime 90s. I'm gonna send you this guy who creates like these. He created these two very 90s style looking anime characters, and they kind of become popular. So he made shirts, and sometimes he gives stickers. I think he does like little comics, and I love that style. So I want to check that movie out because it looks interesting, and I'm gonna reveal something about myself. I recently discovered that I really love drama films or dramas in general. Like I'm my wife calls me dramatic and I own up to it. Yes, I'm dramatic sometimes, and it's fine. My life is interesting, but I don't seek drama. Like, I don't create drama because I'm like, oh, you didn't wash the dishes. Oh, like, I don't. But I take things, with a little bit more emotion. Dramas I recently started to love. So I think this is like an anime drama movie. I think I haven't seen it, but anyway, it looks like that's more his style because the Weathering with You was magical. I know it was nice, but it was more dramatic. It was small. Like, it still felt small because the characters were very close. Like, it was very close knit. When one did something, it would affect the other, and they would react really strongly to each other. And I think it was just more dramatic. It was like more romantic, and so I think that's one of the really big reasons why, even though it's not a full drama, like, I think it had some dramatic elements that I'm really starting to enjoy.
Right.
And so that's why I really like that movie, man.
Yeah, Makoto Shinkai tends to, like, his movies tend to always revolve around like a romance in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've only seen like 3 or 4, I think. I've seen like Your Name. Like, I think Your Name is probably the most mainstream right now. It's probably the most popular one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it revolved around like the scenario where these people were body swapping, and they were gonna meet. They were learning about themselves as they consistently body swap. They keep going back and forth, and they write messages to each other and all that. And so it was like a romance with Freaky Friday. It was like a little mix of that. But dude,
cool.
Yeah,
don't need to watch it.
You need to watch it, man. It's good. The animation itself is beautiful. But
hey, man. So I want to make sure that I throw another name at the director pool. I want to discuss with you, which I know that you're gonna get a kick out of, is Edgar Wright. He's awesome. Like, he's honestly, I did not know how many movies from this guy I actually enjoyed, man. It's kind of like the list is kind of crazy. Like, the top number 1 for sure is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That movie honestly was one of the movies that I watch now, and I'm always gonna remember the scene that's my favorite scene. That's the reason why I watch it. Besides it just being awesome, is where they're having a concert fight, and those monsters kind of come alive, and they start fighting. Like their music creates monsters, and their monsters start fighting. And dude, I was like, that's like a video game. Even though I understood that the whole movie was based on a video game, and it was still bringing those video game elements to life. It was it was amazing, man. It was really memorable. It was one of those movies I watched it the first time. I was like, I love this movie. I don't care what anybody thinks, and it's awesome. It's obviously a movie for gamers, and it's really good. I don't know why people don't talk about this movie when they talk about video game movies, because even though I think this started out as was it a manga?
Right. Yeah. And yeah.
It's just, I think it should be in that conversation, because even though it started out as a manga, like it's still essentially a video game. Like the way it was shot and created, like, and everything about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like, is the world of a video game. So right. I feel like it should really be more in that conversation. But besides that, like, dude, fucking Shaun of the Dead with
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg, yes, thank you, and Hot Fuzz, dude, like that whole trilogy is hilarious. And he did Ant-Man, or no, he was going to do Ant-Man.
He wrote it though. Right? He definitely wrote it.
He wrote it. So yeah, he wrote it. Like, there's so many movies that I didn't know that this guy created that I fucking love.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just comes to show that certain directors just have a certain quirk or like style that we kind of gravitate towards. Like, they have a certain way of, they have a certain sense of humor that you may find funny or not. Just the way they use color. Like, for example, I'm gonna throw another name out, as Wes Anderson. I really like his style of filmmaking, his use of symmetry, his colors, the way the camera just moves around, like, to like from a horizontal, just goes to another room, as if like we're like watching like a play. Like, yeah, like there's many different directors that just have that style, and just like there's not just one good style, like every director just has something that's original. And I think, and that's kind of why sometimes nowadays that's how I pick a movie. I understand who the director is first. I kind of like understanding like what should I not expect, but what do I think might happen, or like a certain kind of tone, to be expecting. But I mean, but yeah, dude, Edgar Wright, he has a very his movies are very funny. Like, that's like his style. He always has, like, his movies are always like very comedic. Like, fuck, I remember fucking Scott Pilgrim was like, I think it's time for you to use the L word, like lesbians. I'm like, no, the other L word, lesbians. And that movie is so fucking funny, and I'm with you, dude. I maybe it's a cult classic, but I'm pretty sure it's definitely is always talked about. Scott Pilgrim for sure is like, it's hard to forget it was based on like a manga, or like, but it stands off on its own on being a good story, that you were like, oh, it's like a lot of video game references, but they're there, and I mean,
yeah, man,
yeah, I mean, recently I think my favorite one so far, it's gotta be Baby Driver, man.
Yeah, Baby Driver. That movie is, I cannot find a flaw with that film, man. It's really good. The style is beautiful. The soundtrack is it's incredible, man.
I think that's kind
of the characters are super memorable.
I think that's kind of what I don't know. I don't necessarily have like expectations, but I do hope that whatever movie like I go in, at least has a solid soundtrack. Like, I think Tarantino spoiled me to become like to look out for like a scene with like really good music and a good sequence. Like, I just expect it to like. I just always feel like, man, like a movie needs a movie always just
another good one.
A movie always just needs that one sequence, that one song. You know, like at least for me, I feel like I would try to do stuff like that. You know, I would always want to find like a good music scene. You know, just because I feel like that's what you always remember those moments. You always remember those sequences, how they went down. You know, and how they played out, and just were like, damn, this is good. Like this is good. You know.
Yeah. But, like those moments where you're just like, it kind of like takes your breath away, man, of how incredibly crazy. Like, what did I just see? Like, did I just see what I thought I just saw? Like, this is incredible. Like, I can't believe someone actually thought of this, shot this, and made it look so good. Yeah, it's like those.
It's inspiring to say the least. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, that's what movies.
That's the big takeaway.
That's what films away from me. Like, that's what films. That's how I know there's always that discussion like, how do you define art? You know, art is subjective, and I understand that, but I know that art is impactful to me, at least when it leaves you speechless. Like I exit a theater and I'm just like, I feel good. I feel good about myself. I feel like this, like you said, this catharsis release. Like, yeah, like that was a damn good movie. You feel so good about yourself, and you just want more. You just want to talk about it. You want to have a conversation about it and see what else someone else got. You know?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go way back to one of your points that you made was about black exploitation films. It's actually one of my favorite genres because I just like you, we are both grown up and raised in Oakland, in the Bay Area, and one of those films for me is BlacKkKlansman. When I saw that film, it was and from director Spike Lee. I like after it was done, I was like, I am so happy that I again saw this movie, right? And because the story and the everything about it's so fucking hilarious, man. It's so good. It's always great. The characters are like very, very memorable. Like you love every single one of them. You know which ones to absolutely hate, and it has a really good message, about like who the real problem is here, right? Like people, like where the focus is shifted on those who just want equality, and it's usually as a scapegoat, right? And I think we got a perfect example this fucking Wednesday. Like, we're recording this on January, what's today, 11th, and the Capitol of the United States Congress got raided on Wednesday, man. So like, and it was all Trump supporters. It was people who believe in this old school rhetoric of just hate and hate passed down from generation to generation, by a system that treats them special. So when they don't get that when they get that special treatment taken away, they're like, hey, that's not fair. You're taking away something that is mine, right? Like why are you making it easier for them? Like it's not, and them being people of color, minorities, people who have been put in, because Jewish people are also part of that category. They're mostly, I want to say, Caucasian or white, right? But they're also put in that group of people who like these straight up, like, I believe them to be like a new version of the neo-Nazi, like just integrated into their thinking. These kinds of films, going back to BlacKkKlansman, these kinds of films shows you why this kind of like black exploitation films are so important, and why it's so important to have so many different kinds of voices, right? Like having like each group of people tell it like it is. Like another great film is The Help. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
No, what's it about?
It's about is her name Emma Stone? She it plays like I think this is in the 50s when like a lot of um, African Americans lived in or black people lived in the South, and they worked as basically servants, right? But it was like a new type of slavery. Slavery ended, and they're saying don't the best thing you could do, or it wasn't. I think it was in the 50s. So, yeah, slavery was abolished, and they were still finding their ways back. So in the South, the biggest occupation was just to be a servant, right? And so that's where that racist. That's why it's racist for a white person to have a black servant and not a black person to have a white servant, right? Like it's just that. That's for people who don't know, the audience out there who don't know why that's racist. That's the context, right? And so anyway, she basically is writing the stories of these women who are afraid to talk because they don't want to get fired because it's hard to find any other kind of job that pays well, that gets you through. And she tells the stories. One of the main character, the main one, is reluctant. She doesn't want to really tell her story. But as the film goes on, like it just gives you like gets all these reasons why she should speak up, and it's such a powerful film. So that's another film that like left me like wow, like I feel good watching this film. You know, this film made a difference in my life. I wouldn't have known or even thought of this point of view from this person at this point in time. You know, like a very specific demographic that none of us think about, right? And seeing their stories, it's really good. And Spike Lee, Spike Lee is another one of those directors that I am always looking out for what he's doing. Like, did you get around to watching The Five Bloods?
I did. Yeah, the Netflix one.
Yes. What did you think about it?
I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. But I did find certain characters weren't really important. I think some like it was mostly just like the main three, and like the other two were kind of they were there, but like they had a presence, but they weren't exactly like. I felt like they didn't really have much like to do there, except like for what happens to them. But I mean, I know that the big take of it all was the exploitation of the black soldiers, and it kind of reminded me of like a Apocalypse Now, and how deeper and deeper he gets to the jungle, like where it gets more chaotic. There was black soldiers there, and I don't know if it was just interesting, because like when he first gets there, it's just there's like a bunch of like white people around, but then when he gets deeper into the jungle and he gets to like the chaos where people are actually fighting, there was like an abundance of like African American soldiers because they were sent first, as like basically cannon fodder. And I was like, damn, like
yeah, man.
How that yeah.
That is also, sorry to cut you off, brother. But that is also one of those pains that the African American and the black community suffer through, and it's just silent suffering. Like we don't ever talk about that stuff. But The Five Bloods, like it clearly makes the argument that like the black soldiers were back in the day sent in first. You're right, as cannon fodder, and for a country that was at the same time jailing their own, killing their own. Killing Malcolm X, killing Martin Luther King, they're leaders that were just trying to make the communities better. A lot of people have their beliefs, but history books like all say the same thing. Like yeah, some of them were radical, but that's because of the times, right? Like they were getting hanged. People were getting like black people were getting hanged daily. It was like a normal occurrence. People would gather, take pictures, like they would hang people on the street, and like, oh look, they're gonna go hang another black person. It's not. So it just tells that story, of these black soldiers who are out there, putting their lives on the line, and the what is the government doing? Like what they're just killing their communities. I don't know if that was the same time where the Tulsa riots happened and basically burned down Black Wall Street. I'm not sure if that's the same
I think
time.
that was during the 1920s or something, or
1920s.
1930.
Okay.
I think one of those.
Okay, so it was a lot further back. Yeah. So anyway, it's the Five Bloods. I think that's why it was important, and it connected it to also like what's happening today. So it was just Spike Lee, definitely
I don't
a
know if it was
director that I
because
follow
like
for sure.
I don't know if it's also because like I really enjoyed the moments with the late great Chadwick Boseman, where he was like the ultimate badass soldier. We only get glimpses of him. He was like the perfect, the ideal man. And I don't know if that kind of overshadowed it for me. I was like, man, like I kind of wanted to see more of that. Kind of wouldn't have minded like saying like more of Chadwick, leading the front, in those days.
Yeah, that's true, man. I think he was underutilized. I honestly wish that they would have chosen someone else to be like the guy that was left behind. But at the same time, the fact that it was Chadwick, it made you believe in his leadership.
Right.
Like Chadwick is that kind of person who, and actor who, like when he portrays someone, he does it with such honor that you're like, yeah, dude, I would die for this guy. Like I'm sad that this guy is gone.
Right.
So I think for that reason they picked Chadwick, and he did an fucking incredible job, dude.
Yeah, no, it was great.
The picture, I love the picture of him sitting on that kind of like chair, like kind of like a throne. It kind of resembled Huey P. Newton. That was
funny.
That was really
cool. And also like Black Panthers, like, sorry to digress, but like man, that the trailer for the Black Judas and the Black Messiah. That movie looks
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Good.
Man, I cannot wait for that.
That trailer alone is like, dude, like that
goosebumps, bro.
Daniel Kaluuya, man, like you can kill the Liberator, but you can't kill the Liberation. You can kill the Freedom Fighter, but you can't murder freedom. I'm like, oh damn, okay.
Yeah, well, what was the chant that we were doing? Where he had the audience repeat it, and he would go back and forth.
I don't know. I forgot.
Yeah, right. Like
power to the people because I
love
the people. Yeah.
A revolutionary, or like right, like
you can kill the revolutionists, but you can't kill the
revolutionary.
Yeah.
And he was like, I am a revolutionary, man. Oh man, I'm so excited for that film,
like,
dude.
Yeah. Like it's I don't know if it's just because like we're Oakland, like we're Oakland inhabitants. I grew up in Oakland. Man. It's a place where I'm glad I grew up here. Like it's it had such a
shout out to Oakland, all the way from Sacramento,
Oaktown. It had this. It was just a place I grew up with, and it made me who I am. And I don't think I would have been who I am if I didn't grow up in Oakland and seeing our Oakland history, Black Panthers. I've resonated. I'm like, dude, I got to see this movie. Like, I'm there. I'm already sold. Like, I don't need to watch any other trailer. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna watch the movie and that's it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. And especially what's the
actor or
the actor's name? Yeah, the main guy.
Daniel Kaluuya from Get
Out.
Yeah,
man, from Get Out. Yeah, Daniel Kaluuya. Yeah, he's perfect for this right now, dude.
Dude's crazy. He's English.
He's English, dude. He's English,
but he plays such an American. He's like such a good American.
Perfect. And I don't know if I watched like a lot of episodes, but I kind of stopped because I was like, man, I think if I watch too much of this, I'm really gonna go into depression. Like, this is for people who really like dark humor. Black Mirror, he did an episode on there. I think it was on the first season. Like, I was when he was barely coming up. I think he did an episode because he was coming up, even though they have big name actors on Black Mirror.
Right.
He did a great episode where basically, like, everyone lived inside of bunkers, I think, underground, and to get paid, they would ride a bicycle, and like they would get credits. So when they rode the bicycle, like the more they rode it was basically a rat race, right? Like the more you spent energy and your life on this thing, which is it could be a desk, right? Like, which is my life, you know. So that's why Black Mirror, like, I can't do too much of it. It's too real.
Start freaking out. Like,
He gets, yeah, he gets points, right? He gets money, basically credits, so it gets spent. He ends up falling in love, and man, I'm blanking out on what happened to the girl he fell in love with. I think she ended up turning into a porn. Oh, he used to have like an addiction to porn, and so in their room, in his room, he would just have a single bed and like four walls that were like disturbingly small, and they would be everything that you see. So like you would lay down, and it'd be like 360 around you. It'd be like a sunny day, and 360 around you is nighttime, so you could fall asleep. And so he would occasionally go on there and then look up at some porn, and he would like, it's 360 porn, so he's like kind of like virtual reality, right? Um, and so I think the girl that he ended up liking turned into one of those girls, and it was pretty dark, you know, like he didn't want to see it, but like the screen was kind of demanding, like, this is what you want. So it was like disturbing, because he would flip to have his, he was belly down on his bed, and he would try like put the pillow over it so he wouldn't see, because like the screen would have stopped showing him, and it eventually, the screen started like doing a nonstop alarm where it wanted him to pay for this porn because he was just constantly buying it. That, you know, he was, I think, almost like forced to watch this girl that he was once in love with be kind of like um, uh, taken over by this porn industry, you know. So it was really good episode, and he was really good in it.
I gotta watch
so
that.
I always remember that episode, and I know that's why Jordan Peele was interested in him when he wanted to Get Out, for sure.
Get Out, yeah, another great movie, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see that I believe we're in a renaissance of just different filmmakers just coming out, you know, and I'm glad, I'm all for it. I feel like, you know, Hollywood's kind of repeating itself and like, and doing a lot of remakes, a lot of reboots, but there comes directors that just want to do something original, want to do something unique, want to see something that the audience has never seen. Like, for example, Sorry to Bother You, that comes to mind.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Another Oakland, you know, an Oakland cinema, you know.
Hell yeah.
Boots Riley, but I mean, it feels good, yeah. Like, I mean, for me, I like seeing like unique films, like something that's like just out there, you know, just it's not afraid to be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think yeah, and same thing with Jordan Peele, man. Us, like, I can't help to think that Get Out and Us are like very like like are very, you know, like socio-political, you know, and using a
for sure,
and using a story and like with elements of horror and thriller to tell a story, but also tell something story that oozes out to our society and kind of like brings awareness to certain like ideas, or, you know, or social issues. And I mean, gotta admit, man, that stuff's powerful.
Yeah, Get Out needs to be in the Criterion collection without a doubt, like that, and the National Registry of movies, because it's one of those films that the first time I saw it, man, I was so struck by what I saw that I was just like speechless, because it subverted my expectations in so many ways, but it also like created a world with rules that apply to the real world, but the way they work in the movie is like fantastic, right? It's just horror, like just for the sake of it being a horror movie, but also playing on that idea of like white people, specifically white men, taking like the black body and using it for what they want, which is like, there's so many, I've read so many papers, so many articles, so many, like, so much research talking about like white supremacy and what it's done like to black people, you know, because black men and women were literally tools of to accumulate wealth for white people, and that's what they were doing here. Like, wealthy white people were paying to buy the body of another black person and inject themselves into that black person. Is just like, the layers hit me so hard that I literally had to sit there for a couple of days and think, hey, shit. Like, man, I'm telling you,
Pablo, are you okay? He's like,
I
what?
was like, I was in the corner, like, fucking sucking my thumb in the fetal position, man. I'm telling you, like, it was one of those movies so perfect in every way. It was scary how perfect it was. It was scary, like, how real it was, you know, like how you can't, besides the simple fact that of like that someone, you know, um no, man, you could even argue that the sunken place is a real place. That's the scary part. Like, it's a like he portrayed it as like this place that exists in our minds, dude. When someone, of course, in the movie, someone actually took over, right? And took over someone else's body. But in a sense, that is what's happening in the real world, man. Like people are taught to hate themselves, right? And so like it's someone else installing their viewpoint onto someone else. And so if the main theme is you should hate yourself because you're a low life and you came from a low life family and you're just going to be that the rest of your life because that's your entire world, that's your environment, then they're going to hate themselves, man, and they're going to treat themselves as much. So it's basically the same thing. You know, you're doing what somebody else wants you to do. They're stuffing themselves inside of you. So that movie, I could go on for hours. We could do an entire podcast on this movie, just on the fucking like millions of layers it has. But yeah, Jordan Peele, definitely one of those directors too. That I try to watch everything that he at least. I don't know about the stuff he produces because now he's starting to put his names on some things that aren't so good. I've heard that Antebellum wasn't that great. That it was kind of like unnecessarily like it triggered a lot of black people actually, like in how dark it was, and I could just know that it has something to do with the way that white slave masters treated their what they considered their property at the time. You know, I that kind of turned me off to it because when I see it in that point of view, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I just want to watch people get tortured. And then I heard that it doesn't even pay off in the end. So anyway, Jordan Peele, still, I watch out for anything he does. He's awesome. He's a great director.
Yeah, definitely. Someone who comes from like a comedic background. But
oh yeah, and the fact that it ended in the funniest way, and like you thought you saw the cop car, and you were like, sorry, spoilers, and you just thought to yourself, like, wow, okay, real life again. Real life is hitting, and it just subverted your expectations. No spoilers. I'm sorry. I think I saved it a little bit there. It was really cool, man. It was like, ah, shit. Okay, cool. Like this is a great movie because like that kind of put the bow on it. Like, all right, you gave us that. Like you gave us that Jordan Peele. That felt great, you know.
So I wanted to segue to something that kind of relates to like this, and
yeah, for sure.
We're talking about a lot. What does film mean to us? What does it mean to other people? And what can film be? And I essentially like a lot of people. There's always a lot of controversy. What people say, should film be political? And there's always just that question like, oh, some people say yes, some people say no. And yeah, I just want to get your take. Like, what do you think? Like, I mean, a film, whether it should or not, it is, right? It simply is because the person who directed it wanted to be that way.
Sorry, can you repeat your question? I'm right in the middle of texting my wife because I'm in the room, but I want to make sure that she can come in to put the baby to sleep in so she can sleep. Sorry to
no worries.
To the audience and to you guys.
We can edit that.
But
it's fine.
Can you, hey, sometimes I don't mind listening to people fuck up on air. It's kind of humbling. It's kind of nice. You know, you're like, oh, they're human just like me. So I like it sometimes.
I put on my moccasins just like everyone else's. Well, what I was gonna ask was,
yeah,
we were talking about what film is and what can it be, and the question should film be political? Should film be political? Does it have a place to be political? And yeah, and for me, I think that whether it is or not, it is. You know, these films simply are. Some of them are political, but I would probably argue too that life is political too, and to shy away from that is to shy away from the real world that you live in.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think not only should a film be political, film should strive to be realistic in a lot of sense. You know, like besides the fantastical and the superheroes and the good storytelling, like you want to make sure that like some of those films like really discuss some of the things that are important. Like I don't think they should shy away from real topics, real history. Like history films are also awesome. Gangs in New York by Martin Scorsese is fucking amazing, and it does have. I watched that movie in my U.S. history AP class. We saw that film in 2 days, I think. We split it because it's a long movie. It's almost 3 hours, I think, or 3 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. I don't know if it's that long, but it's pretty long. It's really great, dude, and it's political. It's I don't know his name, but he's in There Will Be Blood.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's also DiCaprio is in this. And some other great actors, man. It's a great story. It's fucking terrible, and it talks about how I believe after like the America started building towns and things started getting a little bit more industrialized and people started living in like cities and stuff. When it was back when New York was starting to build itself, the Irish were the main focus of hate, and hate crimes were committed against the Irish, and like they would arrive in boats from Italy, and they would call them like these immigrants, like they're dirty, they're coming from Europe, and they're not. They use the term for like an American, born, was natural. I think it was natural. Like I'm a natural born. I think that was the term. I'm trying to remember the historical context, but it was like if you were like a naturalized, I think that means that you were born here. Anyway, it was political, and it was good, and it had a good teaching. So film should, if it's a good film and if the director is interested in doing that, they should strive to be as accurate as possible, as possible, because I don't side with either political party. I think political parties kind of, you think politics is like, I don't want to talk about that. I know politics is about like what you think about how our society works, like our country works, right? So it's important to put your viewpoint, right? Like you should always express it, whether just formulate something, right? Do a little bit of research, see what you like and what you don't like, and then do research on what works and what needs to go, right? Like things that we need to evolve, or else we're gonna stay stuck in the same place.
And I think that's kind of something like when like we talked about in the beginning, where you're like, oh, like we watch films as a form of escapism, that we don't want to. We want to put everything that's going on in our world, all our struggles, our worries, our pains, and we spend 2 hours watching something to get out of that, to enter this world, this different world.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Like, escapism, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. Like it is what it is. Like everyone does it. Like it's the people who are super, like, I don't know. I'm that kind of person, and I'm okay with it. There's people who live in the real world, and their entertainment is the real world, I guess. Like if you're a politician and you're really into your job or something, like you do that, right? But like and they learn their way, right? But I think if you understand which movies, like, you should get some movies recommended to you, and you understand why these movies have powerful implications and good implications and good messages, right? You don't want to just watch anything unless that's your thing and you enjoy it because, it's just what you enjoy. But definitely movies should work to have a good point. Another political movie that's just a straight up documentary that made me think, wow, documentaries are really powerful is Bowling for Columbine. I remember when I saw that film, I think I saw it at home, and I saw Fahrenheit 9/11 by Michael Moore, right?
Right. Yeah.
I saw those two movies. Fahrenheit 9/11. I saw them in the movie theater. Then went back, saw Bowling for Columbine, and even though like now he's considered to be kind of wacky and like kind of extremist, and he believes a lot of radical things, he made a lot of good points. Michael Moore made a lot of good points, like posed a lot of questions that people should be thinking about. People like to live in a world where they think that the government is going to take care of everything, and they can just live their lives. People should really pay more attention. Like, if power corrupts all the time, doesn't matter who you are. If you're a good person, nice person, we know what power does to people, and these people have learned how to hoard it. People on top have learned how to keep the power with them. With the elites, with the people in their social circles. So it's important that we watch them and that we hold them accountable. Movies is one way, because you could just make one really good film, and as long as you're not teaching anyone to hate anyone or to attack anyone, you're just teaching, and you're doing it in a way that entertains and also like opens people to a new perspective. They can change the world sometimes, man. They can really influence the way of things. I mean, people had propaganda movies, right? Like those propaganda movies, like during like Pearl Harbor is a propaganda movie. Like it's just all these really good films can be propaganda, and they can influence people to think a certain way. So
that's the power they have to influence people.
More power to the people through movies. Yes.
Whether it's positive or even negative, people good propaganda, or even propaganda from another point of view.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
I think that just comes to show that film can really be anything, and it depends on your acquired taste and what you like and what you don't like. But
exactly.
But yeah, oh god.
Whoa, man. Have we actually been talking for this long? That's kind of amazing.
We've made it an hour effortlessly. It's a little like freestyle, but I think we had a good conversation.
Cool, man. Yeah, man. Like I this podcast thing, we're gonna learn it. I just had a daughter, and I'm, I wish I had a little bit more time to get this through, because I really had a lot of fun today. Had a lot of fun, talking to you guys and kind of, putting myself out there. I'm trying to be more out there and just more embracing of the things that I love and embracing of things that I want to do. I always thought about doing like a YouTube channel, some just talk, but I didn't want to get into the video aspect of it because it doesn't attract me. But just talking and having a podcast, and hey, if it catches on, it catches on. I know that we're going to start really small, and only the people that know us might listen to a part of this. They can be like, an hour and 30 minutes. The fuck?
I got better shit to do.
So maybe your editors in chief can
spice it up a little bit,
mix it up, can save our ass and be like, all right, you guys gave me a lot of shit, I'm gonna cut it and make it sound good. So if they could do that for us, that'd be amazing. Thank you guys. I don't know your names, but I appreciate your work. But I had a blast, man.
No, I appreciate you, man. I think it was just a really good exercise, just to get it out there. I mean, we're both amateurs, but I do think we're professionally passionate about things, and I think it's worth the talk. I think next time we're definitely going to be more structured for sure. But it was just, I think I wanted to show the audience what our conversations can kind of be like, and they can kind of be sporadic. They can kind of be crazy, out there, philosophical, or just fucking wacky, and that's kind of the aim. We just want to have a good time, just talk about it, actually have conversations, and not just have a bunch of memes in the comments, and
yeah, come on, man, you guys gotta be nice to us. Okay, it's the first time.
Be gentle.
Be gentle with our feelings, with our hearts.
I have my shirt.
Don't kick us too hard in the balls, okay? Just it's okay. Let it rip. It's all good, you guys. We really appreciate you guys listening. If you made it this far, I just want to quickly plug my handle, which is for Instagram. It's at Yo Pablo with 3 O's. So Yo Pablo with 3 O's at the end. But wherever we post this, I'm gonna make sure that we put our handles right there. ET, where can people find you, man?
Well, you can see a bunch of my photography and a bunch of my Instagram nonsense.
Good photography, by the way. That shit is awesome. This guy's got skill.
I appreciate it. Pablo's just trying to make me feel nice. But you can find me at ET Phone Home 100. There I just kind of I make memes sometimes, and I like to form opinions there when I have no one to talk to. But that's where you can find us, and hopefully this is hopefully we get this ball rolling and just do have fun and just shoot the shit and expect more from us. And if you like and if you like what you see here, just keep following us, and to end it off, stay groovy, my friends.
Yeah, stay groovy, guys. We'll see you on the next one.